Hello crafters, I'm Jan B and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how I made this wedding card. It's another card where I have used our shimmer paint, which is absolutely gorgeous. Look at all the sparkle on that. Okay, I promised that I would show some videos on different ways that you can use the shimmer paint. It's a brilliant product to have because it can be used in various different ways. The one that I've already shown you was how to use it to paint with. This video is how to use it with a dauber. I'm basically doing this same card again, but one change I am making is the background. On the new card I'm going to be using this one here. Okay, that sheet there. When you buy a packet of this delightfully detailed laser cut specialty designer series paper, you get 4 sheets, 12 by 12 sheets with that pattern on, and then you get 4 sheets that you need to cut into squares like oblongs like this, and also various strips, which I showed in my video number 414, which was Angel's handbag. So the big sheet, the one that I've used on here, comes like this. So you just cut off the section that you want. So what I did for this one, I cut one sheet in half, and I used my dauber to make it to go over with the shimmer paint, and I just roughly guessed how much I needed to do. Once I had done that and allowed it to dry, I turned it over, put the tombow on it, and then with the glue still facing upwards, I laid my pink layer on top of it so that all the sides were coming out. And then once I was happy that that was all pressed down, I turned it over and then cut all the edges off from around here. Okay, now for a video that's a little bit tricky, plus the fact it's easier to do it with one of the squares, so I thought that I would show you how to do this one. If you wanted a more of a challenge, then you could certainly go ahead and do this. Okay, don't you just love that shine? Right, so if I'm going to put that away, I will give you the sizes of the card pieces I'm going to use, but it will vary slightly and you're going to need to check your own. And the reason it's going to change very slightly is because it depends on what size you actually cut these edges. I mean, for example, that edge is quite a lot less than that one. Quite a lot as in, you know, it could be a 1/16 of an inch or something. So what I've done with mine was I measured this, and then I cut another piece exactly the same size, and then I very gradually trimmed off pieces. So as you can see, I've still got my pencil marks on here. So what I've finished up with is so that I can put my pink piece on top and just have a little piece visible all the way around there. Okay, now if you think that you don't really like that idea of trimming this one down to fit and you'd much rather what I've done on that one, you have the choice. So let me give you the card pieces that I've used. The other thing is, because this is such an odd size, by the time it gets onto this one, which I've obviously had to adjust, it will also finish up unusual on here, in as much as I get quite wide gaps here. Those two, as long as those two are the same and that are the same, then I'm happy with that. But it's all down to choices, what you like and what you feel is acceptable for you. So let me tell you the card pieces. First of all, the card base, this is powder pink, and I have given you the measurements in metric as well, but again, you will need to double check against the size of your DSP. So this is 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches, scored and folded at 4 1/8 inches, which is 21 by 14.5 centimetres, scored and folded at 10.5 centimetres. And then 2 pieces of Whisper White, and these measure 3 3/4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, which is 9.5 by 13.3 centimetres. My pink and my lacy piece, the Delightfully Detailed, I have put both of these at 3 1/2 inches by 5 inches, but I have noted that you need to trim to size that one. So the size of both of these, 3 1/2 inches by 5 inches, which is 8.9 by 12.7 centimetres. And then for these pieces, and I've got a cake inside as well, you will need 1 piece of Whisper White, which measures 1 3/4 inches by 4 1/8 inches, which is approximately 4.5 by 10.5 centimetres. Another piece that's 1 7/8 by 2 1/8 inches, which is 5 by 5.5 centimetres, and one that is 7/8 inches by 3 inches, which is 1.7.5 centimetres. Both of these two and that, these are fussy cut, that is punched, so the sizes don't have to be precise. So the first thing I am going to do is, obviously I've already done this piece, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring another piece over. In fact, what should I do? I'm going to do this one, and I am using a sheet of my cardboard. As you can see, I've used it before, and although this is tacky when you're working with it like these are, you just need to leave it to dry, or if you're in a hurry, use your heating tool on it. Excuse me. Right, so I've done all my pieces, my fussy cutting, colouring and all of that, so I can demonstrate everything to you now. So first of all, to sponge this, I am using the Champagne Mist shimmer paint, and I'm using a small block. This is a B. Just give this a shake and you'll hear there's a little ball in there which helps to mix all the colour up properly. And then I just pour a little bit on the top. I have my dauber, ready. It's a bit sticky because I've been using it all day. Now what I do first is I take my dauber and wipe that off around the edge so it doesn't waste any more than it really has to. Then all I'm doing is I am just going to daub all over this. Now I did give a brief demonstration of this on the Angel handbag video, but I didn't do very much. But this one I am going to do all of it because I'm fully intent on using this piece as a background for a card at some stage. When you're taking the shimmer paint off of the pile of wet paint there, dab it off on the side there, because you don't want this to be you don't want that to come without being diluted, because it does come as light and dark, which to a certain degree is lovely, but you don't want it dramatically different. And the reason I do it on this cardboard, which is a piece of cardboard from the back of my pack of DSP that I received, is it will dry, and it will dry non-tacky. Right, so I need some more. I will show you a way of getting this back into the pot, but you still don't want to deliberately use more than's necessary. I prepared all my pieces this morning, so I was able to allow them to dry. As I say, you can use your heat tool, and if you use that, keep it moving over your designer series paper or your cardstock, and you'll see what I mean by that one when we get there. Don't keep it still, which is what I tell you to do when you're heat embossing, because you will find this will start curling up, well, more curling rather than curling up. Right, okay, so that's fine. Let me just lift that up. I don't want to leave it there to dry because it will just stick to it, but if I just pop it down gently, then that will be fine. Alright, so that's that done. Now to get this back into my pot, I'm going to pick it up on my dauber, and then I hope you can see this, but I'm going to squash that against the edge, and it will let it run back down into, I don't know if you can see that running down. I think you can. There we go. I think that allows you to see what's running down there. So there's that. We will be needing that again. Let me just get a baby wipe. There we go, leave that to dry. Pop that up there. Tissue for my fingers. Okay, so as I said, that's because I've used glue on the other side. I'm going to leave that to dry because I'm not using it for today's project. This is my piece. Oh, don't put that on there. Let's move that right over to that side. Right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my stamping, and the stamp set I'm using is a HOSTESS stamp set, which means you can only buy this if you host a workshop and your sales go over £150, or if you put in an order of £150, and then you can choose this. I think this one was, I think it was £12 or £13. Anyway, it's got all sorts of things here which go over the girl with the skirts on, and it looks like she's holding, like with my one, she's holding the wedding cake. Very, very good stamp set this, really lovely. But on the card that I'm doing now, I'm going to use the congratulations so that I'm sticking to one card set. I'm using the skirt with the legs and the cake. I'm not decorating the skirt with either of these pieces, but see they've got a pile of books there as well that she's carrying. It's a great set. So that's the skirt and the legs, that's the cake. As you can see, I've used it loads of times. So first of all, let's do the cake. This is the one that's for the inside of the card. As I say, I have already done all these pieces. Oops. But this is what you would do. Okay, so you just, assuming you want to do the same design. Okay, so that's the cake for the inside. Now with this one, you can either do these two as separate and put one on top of the other, or you can stamp them so it's all one, which is what I did on this one. The one that I've done for today's card, I've cut them separately because I want to see what it's like doing them separately. So what I'll do this one as one. Okay, so that. Now this one. Let's see how close I can bring this down. Oh, that's good, about that far. So I'm going to put the belt of her skirt just underneath the cake stand. I think I've done that okay. That's not too bad. She should have been a bit lower, but not to worry. And then the congratulations. I love the font on this. I always wish my writing looked a bit like this. This is going to be punched out, so. Isn't that beautiful writing? Really lovely. Right, okay. Next I am going to paint my images. As I say, I have already done these, so I'm only going to do one of them. I'm using marker pens, and I'm using powder pink, smoky slate and granny apple green. So first of all, smoky slate, I'm going to do the, as I say, this should have been higher so that I could do the cake plate. Never mind, let's oh, that's all right. If I go over that top bit, the belt on her skirt, that looks quite reasonable. Oh, and I'm going to do her shoes as well. There we go. Now all the flowers I'm going to do powder pink. I think Granny Apple Green is probably going to be my favourite new green colour. I like it because it's a real green, but a light real green. Now if you want to take a bit more time over this than I am, you may want to do the centre of the flowers yellow. In the scheme of things, I think that would look rather nice. I've got the one down there a bit darker than the first and second row. Just make them a little bit darker here. There we go, that's better. And now green for the leaves. There we go. So that's all the painting that needs to be done. Obviously you would also move on to do that one. No painting as such to do on this one, but we will punch it out, and we're going to use a classic label punch for this. Don't know where that came from. Okay, so this fits in absolutely beautifully. Okay. So now what we need to do is to go over these with our shimmer paint. Okay, so bring that back again. I'm not going to do that one with shimmer paint because I want to paint it first. So this one, let me get my sheet back. And that one. Although there's no colouring on this, I like to blend it in with the rest. This I think will take probably about an hour, 2 hours to dry naturally. I didn't actually time it today because once I was waiting for it to dry, I just went off and did other things. Now we're not going to need too much for the next bit of shimmer paint. Right, let's get that's dripping down. There we go. So all we need to do now is, I'm going to tap that off a bit because of what I wiped off around the top of the pot, and then I'm just going over all of this. Okay, so that's all that bit needs. Okay, so I've only gone around the actual image because that's going to be fussy cut out. If you don't like the idea of fussy cutting, what I'd recommend is for this one I would use a bigger piece of paper, and then a cardstock rather, and then use the oval die around it so you can die cut it. I know that fussy cutting isn't everybody's idea. Right, and then the sentiment I'm going to do as well. In fact, that's got to stay on there to dry. Okay. I'm moving that over to a bit where there isn't any shimmer paint. Oh, I need this to put this back into the pot. So just scoop it up, give it a chance to soak up into your sponge again, and then push it back down. There we go, you can see that, can't you? You may find it's worth doing that anyway after you've finished doing any kind of daubing, just in case there's an excessive amount of paint in there. None of us like waste. Right, so with my baby wipe, let's do that one again. There we go, so nice clean block again. Pop that there, that one over there. So I'm going to leave all of these to dry. but you won't see me using them again. These are the bits I'm using. I'll just show you these two. This is a bit of an experiment. This one here, I stamped this in soft suede and then went over it with the shimmer paint, but that looks as if the shimmer paint is actually making the ink leak, which is what I would expect it to do. Okay, but then when I did the grey, it didn't seem to make it leak. Now it could just be that the grey is such a that much lighter colour that it wouldn't be noticeable as the brown. I don't know, but you may want to experiment. As I say, I would have expected it to leak. Right, so I've got these. I'm going to put my card together. Let me bring my silicone mat. Now, what I want to do is, if I put adhesive all around the edge here, now what shall I use? Shall I use Tombow? I think what I'll do is I'll use Tombow and then I'll get a sheet of paper to mop it off, because that way it will make sure that I haven't got too much on there, and it will also make sure that it's not runny. Let me just reach across here to get a scrap of paper. So if I leave that up there, do my Tombow here. Now I also want little bits to adhere flowers down as much as possible. Let's just see if that's planning to come out or not. Well, that should be alright. Doesn't look like it though, I have to say. Right, if this gives me too much grief, then I will get another bottle. That's it. I managed to get the stopper part out, but unfortunately it came out with quite a force and spurted quite a lot of glue with it as well. Right, so I'm just going around all the outsides first. Right, and round the flowers, where I've got solid flowers. I do those little bits with the little bubbles on the end as well. They're quite easy to get glue onto. And more little bubbles. Oh, I was going to use the other method of doing this, wasn't I? Using my... Oh, am I too late to do it? No, never too late. I wanted to show you how I started using this. Since I got the tip about keeping it in a jar so that it doesn't actually dry out, I thought that was a good idea. So what I'm doing is, because this does get glue over almost everything, okay, so do that. I shouldn't do that much actually, because since I've already done it I don't really need that much. Now this stays a little bit tacky from previous times, and then just go over all of it like that. and it really does work well. And the thing, I mean, at first when I heard about this, I wasn't enamoured by the idea, but when I found that you could actually just keep the sponge into an airtight container, I thought that was a really good idea. Okay, so that can go back in there again. Now, I'm not going to dab that onto that, not seeing as how I've used my sponge now. So what I am going to do, in fact, have I got a clean? Let me use a clean one now. There we go. How come I find, oh, it's off of there, isn't it? I was going to say, how come I find pearls, but it must have come off that card there. Come on. At the moment I can't see where, so it can go on there for the time being. Right, so take my pink piece. Now I know how tight this is, so I'm going to go for that top bit first. Right up close to the edge. Close on both sides as well. And hopefully that will just go down safely. There we go. And just give it a good squash. Bring it up carefully, just in case glue has come out onto here. No, that's lovely. That is beautiful. Oh, I'm so pleased with that. That really is a good result. So I'm now going to, I've got glue all over my fingers. Now going to use Tombow to adhere this layer down. But let's do it on the pink side. You can see what a very, very small little edge it's got of the design on the underneath. It's got more down here, but at least there is nothing peeping through. So now try and get same width all the way around, and I can see a pencil mark, methinks. That needs to go over a bit. That's better. Is that a pencil? Maybe not. Well, if it was, it isn't now. No, we will use some more Tombow and put this on the front of the card. I don't think I'm bothered which way up this is. I don't think there's a right and wrong way. So now I am just concentrating on trying to make the gap at the top and the bottom the same, and then the sides the same as well. And tops look alright. Oh yeah, sides look good as well. You just tip them, make sure it looks sort of straight. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so that's good. Now I am going to use dimensionals. So let's do that and that. I'll get some small and some regular. I will use a selection of sizes. That looks as if it might just take the big ones. the one on the inside of the card I will glue down. I'll just put a couple of small ones on the sides of her skirt. Whoops. And then I will use my scissors just to cut some very thin bits, but I'm going to use this here just to see if I can get some on her legs. That's one piece, 2 pieces, let's do 2 more. Oops. And then that one. There we go. Now I'm going to pop these. Oh, I need this one as well. This should just be large ones, I think. Or did I find... no, large is a bit too big. Let's just use 3 small ones. Now to decide where the lady is going to go, I'm going to pop that there. Put this, because I have less room on this one than I did from the other. There we go, does that look about right? I think. So if we keep that bit there, in fact we'll do that one first. Just make sure this is in the centre. Do I want to do the top bit first? It might be sensible, mightn't it? And then do that one. Yeah, let's do the top first. Oops. It's a lively one. Okay, so what I'm doing with this is I am judging the gap that I've got from there, have the same gap up there, and still go in the centre. I am using my grid paper to judge the centre. Right, you just take these off. That's it. And then I'm just going to slide her skirt underneath the cake. Oops, go under. Right, and then keep that straight. Yeah, that's right, that's good. Okay, I think I do, after what I did on that one, I do prefer to have this as 2 separate pieces. But then that's me and my problem with straight lines. So this one I'm just going to pop on the inside. Where's my sheet gone? Oh, here it is. Don't panic. Okay, so we'll use Tombow for this. Again, try to get it centred. And the cake. Again, if you don't like fussy cutting this one, you could just stamp onto the inside of your card. So that's that, and all I need now are to get some pearls onto the front of my card. So let's have a look. No, just basic, please. There we go. So what shall we use? What did I use? I used big pearls for big flowers. Don't think I've really got any big flowers, have I? Or little. So let's use a medium size. There we go. Oops. Personally, I think I prefer the frame around the DSP. For that, I think I would overlook the fact that it's come up a funny size. What do you think? Does the funny size bother you? I think that could class as one big flower, couldn't it? I don't like one big one on its own, so we'll call that one a big one as well. So, oh, there's some tiny ones there. I'll say that was about it. Oh, there. Oh no, there's one more. Always one more. Can see another one there. I'll be all day here. Right, I'll do that one, and that's going to be the last one. I'll check it off camera. Okay, there we go. That's today's project. I hope you like it. It's another way that you can use our gorgeous new shimmer paint. There are several different ways of doing it. And this is the way by using a dauber. In fact, is that crooked? She's leaning a little bit, I think. Never mind, that's fine. I hope you've enjoyed this project today, and I hope you give it a try. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the box below the video. I'm always happy to help you. I will put in the box below all the measurements and the products that I've used, but do remember please that on this piece here, the size, they're going to vary from one person to the next, so you need to adjust the pink one underneath accordingly. Or if you don't want to worry about that, do your normal sizes and do the one that doesn't have any edges on it. Okay. If you've enjoyed my video and would like to be notified each time I upload another one, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I believe you have to tick a bell now to say that you want notifications. And if you'd like to give me a thumbs up, that'd be really appreciated. Many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.